Did you know Richmond, Virginia, just ranked as one of the fastest growing cities in the South? People are flocking here for the food, the history, and the lifestyle. But let's be real, not everything is sunshine and craft beer. As a Richmond native who's helped countless people just like you move here, I've seen the good, the bad, and the stuff you'll only learn once you actually live here. People here will tell you about nights stuck in traffic on 95, the endless pollen season that nobody warned them about, and even entire neighborhoods where housing stock is older. At the same time, Richmond has this incredible energy, from the James River lifestyle to a food scene that rivals bigger cities. People are falling in love with our VA every single day. So which is it? Is Richmond one of the South's best kept secrets? Or is it a city with problems too big to ignore? Stick around because the answer might surprise you. Here's the one thing about Richmond. On one hand, it feels like a city that's constantly evolving with new opportunities, new places to explore, and this creative energy that makes it exciting to live here. But now at the same time, there are quirks that drive people absolutely crazy. Some of them are just little annoyances, and others are the kind of challenges you really need to know before deciding to call this place home. And that's exactly what we're going to unpack, starting with one of the biggest frustrations people run into right away. Richmond's transit agency logged nearly 10.9 million rides in fiscal year 2024, a 14% jump from the year before. That sounds impressive, but here's the catch. Most of those rides happen along one corridor, the GRTC Pulse line on Broad Street. The Pulse runs every 10 to 15 minutes during peak hours, but only along a fixed east to west spine. Outside that backbone, the coverage drops off drastically. Many neighborhoods are served by routes that run only every 30 to 60 minutes and sometimes only in peak directions. If you stick close to that Pulse spine, transit can be workable. But the moment you head towards Short Pump, Midlothian, Mechanicsville, or beyond, you're forced back behind the wheel. Most Richmond households plan on one car per adult because once you step outside the core, the buses simply do not align with your schedule or your destination. Some locals cope by anchoring themselves in walkable pockets like Carytown, Scott's Addition, or Churchill for everyday errands and weekend outings. But that is a workaround, not a full fix. And by the way, if you're new here, my name is Holly Fye. I'm a local Richmond realtor who specializes in helping people who are relocating to the Richmond metro area. If you're starting to think about what life in Richmond could look like for you, reach out anytime. Call, text, or email me with your questions. No pressure, just a real conversation to help you figure out what is best for you. And here's the twist. That same reliance on cars helps drive one of Richmond's biggest lifestyle draws, and that is what we're heading into next. If you want to know what makes Richmond special, start with the food. Log Oven was named one of the best new restaurants in the country, and their lobster dumplings are the kind of dish people talk about for weeks. So Possum is a Richmond icon with cheeky menu names, candlelit vibes, and a beef Swellington that will blow your mind. Over in Churchill, Alewife has become the go-to for fresh seafood, and you cannot leave without trying the smoked fish dip. And if pastries are more your speed, Sub Rosa Bakery is legendary, with locals lining up early for their croissants. And then there are the breweries. Richmond has more than 30, but Scott's Addition alone feels like an adult playground where you can bounce from one tap room to the next. At Triple Crossing, the Falcon Smash IPA is practically a local celebrity. Hardywood is famous for its gingerbread stout, which drops every winter and always sells out. The Vale is where hop lovers geek out over hazy IPAs, and Ardent is the beer garden you want to spend a Saturday in. Even Vossen brings its own twist with adventurous styles and a brand new Southside tap room paired with Korean barbecue. This is the kind of food and drink culture that turns weekend visitors into permanent Richmonders, and it's just one of the reasons people fall in love with living here. Richmond is ranked number 7 in the entire country for seasonal allergies, and let me tell you, pollen here is serious business. In the spring, oak, maple, and pine trees saturate the air. In the summer, it's Bermuda and Timothy grass, and in the fall, ragweed takes over until the first frost. What does that mean for your daily life? Your car turns yellow overnight. Your windows feel like invitations to allergens, not fresh air. And you may end up planning errands around the pollen forecast instead of your schedule. But locals don't just suffer, they adapt. Here are 3 smart moves Richmonders use. Number 1, run a HEPA air purifier in your bedroom or living room. Number 2, shower and change clothes right after being outside. And number 3, plan your outside time wisely. Early mornings are usually the worst, so head out later in the day when counts are lower. The truth is, the very same tree canopy that floods us with pollen is also what makes our trails, parks, and the James River lifestyle so incredible. And that brings us to the next pro. One of the best things about Richmond is how easy it is to get outdoors. The James River runs right through the heart of the city, and it's not just a view, it's a lifestyle. On a Saturday, you will see people kayaking, paddleboarding, and even surfing the rapids at Pony Pasture and Belle Isle. If hiking is more your speed, the James River Park system has more than 40 miles of trails, all within minutes of downtown. Mountain bikers love the Buttermilk and North Bank trails, and families head to Browns Island for festivals with the river as the backdrop. The beauty is you do not have to drive hours to get to this kind of access. You can leave your office downtown at 5 o'clock and be on the river by 5:15. And the same green canopy that gives us pollen season is what makes these trails and riverfront spots so beautiful. It's the kind of balance that keeps people here for life. Richmond is growing fast, but the city's infrastructure is struggling to keep up. Everywhere you drive, you see orange codes and construction zones. Projects take years to finish, and in the meantime, traffic and frustration only get worse. Take Hull Street, for example. The city has announced a $37 million plan to upgrade sidewalks, utilities, and traffic flow between Hay Road and Warwick Road. It's a huge project, and it's needed. But if you have ever watched how long these improvements take, you know it will not be finished anytime soon. And that is the story across Richmond. The growth is exciting, but the pace of development often feels slower and messier than people want it to be. The upside is that the very reason these projects exist is because Richmond is still more affordable than many of the larger cities in our region. Affordability is one of Richmond's strongest draws, and it's not just a talking point. You can see it in the numbers. The average home value in Richmond is in the low to mid 400,000s. Compare that to Manhattan, where housing costs are nearly 5 times higher. Even compared to Northern Virginia or DC, your housing dollar stretches much farther here. Instead of squeezing into a small condo or townhome, many buyers here can afford a 3 or 4 bedroom home with space, a yard, and a shorter commute. Groceries, utilities, and even transportation also tend to cost less. And property taxes here are lower than in many nearby counties up north. That kind of stretch in your budget gives you lifestyle breathing room. It means more savings, more comfort, and more choice. This affordability is one of Richmond's biggest advantages, especially for people relocating from pricier cities. This is one of the biggest surprises people run into when they start the home search in Richmond. This region is not one single market. It's a patchwork of micro markets, each with its own rules, pace, and price tag. What works in Short Pump might never fly in Churchill. Short Pump and the West End lead suburban with new builds, modern subdivisions, and planned developments. Meanwhile, Churchill is historic, walkable, and full of character. In August of 2025, the median home price in Churchill was about $569,000. Take Glen Allen in Henrico County. It balances suburban comfort with proximity to the city, but home values and lot sizes there generally outpace many of the city core neighborhoods. Then there's Chesterfield and Midlothian. They tend to offer more space and recently built school facilities, but you trade off longer commutes and sometimes less character in your streetscape. If you're not careful, you might fall for a house in a neighborhood that looks great online, only to find that you're battling traffic, unexpected school assignments, or commuting timelines from day one. This is why having someone who knows the subtle distinctions can save you from a mismatch. A home in the Fan, Shockoe Bottom, or Windsor Farms carries different expectations than one in Mechanicsville or Sandston. Finding the right micro market is not just a nice extra, it's a necessity if you want your lifestyle, budget, and commute to actually line up. Friday nights on Browns Island fill up before sunset. Live music, food trucks, and the skyline in the background. It feels like the whole city shows up. On Saturday mornings, half of Richmond is at the south of the James Farmers Market. Strollers and pumps everywhere, neighbors catching up over fresh bread and coffee. Big events pack the calendar too. The Folk Festival draws tens of thousands every October. The Carytown Watermelon Festival turns the streets into one giant block party. The Monument Avenue 10K pulls runners and cheer squads from every corner of the city. But what really makes Richmond feel special is the everyday rhythm. Your barista knows your order by week 2. You bump into the same faces at the farmers market and then see them again at the Flying Squirrels game. Join one neighborhood Facebook group and suddenly your weekend calendar fills itself. This is a city where you can plug in fast. It's large enough to have culture and energy, but small enough that you feel seen and connected. And while the community vibe is a huge draw, there is another side of Richmond that is not always as charming. Richmond has history, and that shows up in more ways than what you might expect, especially when infrastructure starts showing its age. In January of 2025, a power failure hit Richmond's water treatment plant and left many neighborhoods without running water. Parts of the city, Henrico and Hanover, were under a boil water advisory for days. That outage was not just a fluke. Some of the plant systems are more than 100 years old. Engineers say Richmond needs more than $60 million in upgrades across treatment and distribution systems, from replacing old pipelines to modernizing backup systems. The breakdowns ripple. A water main break downtown in May forced emergency repairs and cut service for residents again. In some neighborhoods, broken water mains lead to sinkholes. In others, water pressure drops when demand is high. And it's not just water. Roads show potholes that seem to come back every season. Sidewalks shift, utility lines need constant patching. Most of the time, it's just an annoyance. But if you're moving here from a newer metro area, the contrast is something you will notice. The good news is the city is actively retrofitting and repairing many of these older systems, and many of the localities are not impacted by these things cropping up in the city. But the truth is, the same history and character people love about Richmond is also the reason so much of the city still needs serious work. One of Richmond's biggest advantages is how central it is. Want the beach? Virginia Beach is just under 2 hours away. Craving the mountains? You can be hiking in the Blue Ridge in about an hour and a half. Washington, D.C. is close enough for a day trip, but far enough away that you do not have to deal with the grind of living there. Richmond International Airport makes travel easy with direct flights to major hubs. Amtrak runs right through the city, so you can hop on a train to D.C., Philly, or even New York without dealing with big city airports. And because we sit at the crossroads of I-95 and 64, road trips in just about any direction are straightforward. That central location is one of the reasons people who move here find themselves exploring more, traveling more, and feeling connected without the stress of a mega city. So here's the bottom line. Richmond is not perfect. We have the pollen, the construction, and some infrastructure that still needs work. But we also have an incredible food and brewery scene, access to the James River, a welcoming community, and the kind of affordability and location that makes life here both comfortable and exciting. For a lot of people, those pros far outweigh the cons. That's why so many visitors end up deciding to call Richmond home. And if you're thinking about making a move here, I would love to be your resource. So reach out anytime, call, text, or email me, and we can talk through what life here might look like for you. No pressure, no sales pitch, just a real conversation about what is best for you. If you still are in research mode, that is fine too. Keep watching the playlist on this channel to learn more about life in Richmond, Virginia. You will get a clear picture of what it's like to live here, and when the time is right, you will already feel one step ahead of the game.